We are on the road to WrestleMania, and WWE Raw came to you guys live from the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. And we had several big matches throughout the night with some more WrestleMania implications, as well as a really interesting closing segment, which seemed to further the feud for what is likely to be the main event of night two. So let's break it all down. As always, I'm Mike, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill, and we are talking Monday Night Raw from March 23. And Sean, what did you think of the show?
So, so far, I've enjoyed pretty much every episode of both Raw and SmackDown as we've been approaching WrestleMania. I think the only complaint I had about last night was the fact that there wasn't very much actual wrestling on the show. It was a lot of story segments and a lot of like backstage stuff. And I feel like yes, there is a place for that so that you can advance stories, but in 2.5 to 3 hours of a show, you got to have more than the like 31 minutes of wrestling that there were.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on there. The wrestling was definitely a little bit light on this show. There are only three matches, right? Yeah, three matches.
Yeah,
The Bailey match, the Javon Evans match, and the IC title match, right? Oh, and then the Usos match. There are four matches.
which wasn't really even a match. It lasted half of a match.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Yeah, so let's talk about that. I guess like in no particular order. I kind of wanted to go talk about the main event first, and then we can kind of loop that back into the Usos match. And I wanted to start off with asking you a question about this because like it initially didn't really do all that much different than what it did previously. Like it was a fun segment. CM Punk came out and he cut another promo and he kind of went on for a really long time. This one was like particularly a lot longer. Jimmy and Jay confronted him Jimmy confronted him specifically before he went out, made mention that like Jay is on the warpath, so watch what you say. And, he just didn't really care, came out and cut his promo, which, like I said, went on for a really long time. This did bring the Usos out eventually, and, Jay was just getting incredibly hot-headed and, getting in Punk's face, and then eventually did bring Roman out. And Roman basically was kind of sort of telling them, like, hey, get out of here. But, Jay continued to get more and more hot-headed, and he eventually kind of attacked Punk, and then Roman got pissed off because Jay was like, "Look, go get him, go get him, go get him." And then finally, Roman lost his cool and speared him, put him through the table, ultimately to stand tall to close out the show. So my question for you is twofold. One, what did you think of the segment? And then two, are the Usos going to get involved in this match at Mania?
So before answering your question, I wanted to mention something to you too. I don't know if you've seen people talking about it online, but there was a backstage segment where LA Knight was talking to the Usos. Did
Hmm.
you notice how front and center they made the big giant picture of The Rock in the background seem?
I didn't notice that.
Go back and watch that segment, and they made sure that it was in focus the entire time. So I'm a little bit worried that we're gonna see some of the Dwayne and get involved in this here somewhere, which I'm really hoping doesn't end up happening because I think it will ruin this whole story. But as far as this whole segment goes, first of all, welcome to the Netflix era with some of the NSFW comment work from Punk, which not gonna lie, the inner child in me got a laugh out of it. But um, I am really enjoying the way that he's antagonizing not just Roman, but using the Usos to antagonize Roman too.
Hmm.
And here's a question for you. I know you said Roman stood tall, but with the way that Punk was laying on the ground laughing the way that he was, did Roman really stand tall? Or is Punk proving the point that he's in Roman's head?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? Like, I mean, physically, Roman stood tall, right? But I mean, psychologically, Punk absolutely has the edge on him, which is really starting to get me into the camp that you've kind of been in all along, where you think that Punk is going to win. I am starting to kind of flip over to that camp a little bit because that I think Jay is going to cost Roman.
Yep.
I really
Uh,
do. I really think Jay is going to cost Roman.
I don't know if it's going to be intentional or not, but I think that one way or another, Jay is going to get involved in that match, be it he's just so pissed off still over everything that Punk has been doing that he can't restrain himself anymore, or even if he turns on Roman because he says Roman isn't doing enough to defend the family. I could see one of those two being a very valid reason for getting Jay involved. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I think that that is the perfect way to utilize this angry version of Jay that we're currently seeing.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because obviously the Usos had a match, and now they have another one coming up next week at Madison Square Garden. But the match obviously ended in a DQ because Jay, as we mentioned, is continually being more and more hot-headed. He kind of got the brass knucks from Logan Paul and then proceeded to use them to get themselves disqualified, which, led to that conversation with LA Knight, as I mentioned. This match never really got a chance to get off the ground all that much. So not much to talk about as far as the in-ring stuff. But yeah, it almost seems like Jay is just going to completely go off the deep end, right? Because more and more
Yeah.
people are going to kind of tell him this, which really leads me to believe that, yeah, they're going to lose these titles and maybe they'll even lose them before WrestleMania.
Honestly, I think that would be a mistake. I think them losing them at WrestleMania would be better for the storyline of Jay being so pissed off because then it happens that night. So he is still boiled over the top because of having just lost their titles. He has some sort of backstage segment with Roman that sets him off even more, or he runs into Punk and Punk runs his mouth. Something along those lines where the losing of the titles is the catalyst for what's going to happen at the end of the night.
How do you book next week's match then?
Another
It's
DQ.
it's a street fight though.
Oh, I didn't realize it was a street fight. Um, LA Knight's going to get involved and help him. He's been getting involved and sort of helping keep the vision from doing anything super wonky. But hear me out though. This could also be another really good spot for Braun Breaker to get back. I mean, they're talking that they're expecting Breaker in the Performance Center this week, and that if that's the case, there's a real good shot he'll be back for Mania. And if that's the case, I could see maybe Breaker coming back and the Usos losing the titles that way. He
I mean,
comes
he's
out.
got he's got to come back eventually, right? Because like we're running out of time. Like we did the thing with Seth, which we'll get into in a second here, but like we're kind of running out of time for him to come
Yeah,
back if you're planning on doing anything with Seth at this point.
I mean, we all know that it obviously hinges on his injury and whether or not he can get cleared from that. But if what the talks are that are true from the nonsensical interwebs that we follow, the talk is that he's expected in the Performance Center this week. And I'm sure we'll get some sort of confirmation of that throughout the week if it's the case, because WWE doesn't always manage to keep things quiet.
Speaking of Seth, Paul Heyman called out Seth Rollins in an in-ring segment. Rollins again appeared in disguise, but eventually, was surrounded by actual Boston police who proceeded to take him away as Paul Heyman got a restraining order against him. But obviously, as we know, Paul kind of took it too far and made some comments about Becky, made some comments about his daughter, which ultimately led Rollins to run back into the ring. Heyman threw the microphone at him, but it kind of missed him. And, he clocked Heyman, but Heyman was kind of like laughing at him as the cops ultimately proceeded to take Rollins away. I don't think that any of this was necessary, but I'm curious to see where they're going to go with this.
So I think that it's going to lead to there being some sort of stipulation for whatever the Rollins match ends up being at Mania. Usually, whenever there is a police involvement like this, it usually leads to something along those lines.
Mhm.
And forgive me if I'm wrong here, seeing as how I've never had a restraining order filed against me that I'm aware of. But aren't you supposed to inform the person that they have a restraining order against them?
Allegedly, they're supposed to be served with it, I think, right?
Like,
Not that I know, but I would assume the
right,
person has to be
so
served with it.
how are you going
Wrestling
to
logic.
arrest Seth?
Wrestling logic.
Yeah, just like the real Boston police.
Yeah, right.
Um, but I will say that I greatly enjoy the extremely disheveled and looking more and more insane every week, Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
It straight up looks like he is losing, not only losing his mind, but turning into like a homeless walrus. But I think that this segment it wasn't necessary, but I think it was well done for what it was. And considering as they still need to tell the story for whatever they're going to end up doing with Seth at Mania, it did its job.
Yeah. Speaking of Paul Heyman, he was all over this show tonight, and he also was in the opening segment of this show as well, with which he came out with Brock Lesnar, gave his usual hype train for Brock Lesnar against, what is now the confirmed match with Opa Femi. Femi obviously interrupted again, which led to a quick clash. Lesnar attempted to hit another F5, but Femi kind of, got out of it and then proceeded to just blast him over the top rope with a clothesline. And Femi again stands tall. They did announce Brock again for next week, but this needs to be a squash match. This needs to be, I said this to you in our group chat yesterday. This needs to be a squash match at WrestleMania. I don't think I want anything else other than that. Oba needs to destroy him at WrestleMania,
First off, how often do you see people escape from an F5?
right?
You don't. Secondly, I think next week that Brock has to get the upper hand. At some point here, I think Brock has to lay Femi out at least once, just to keep it more realistic. Um, as far as the match itself goes, I think that I don't know if I'd call for a full squash, but I think right out of the gate, Lesnar should hit Femi with a F5 that he kicks out of, because I think that would be huge for him to kick out of an F5.
Hmm.
And then he just from there bull rushes back and just dominates him. Like I don't think I would go the route of Brock versus Goldberg one when they both came back when Goldberg just dominated him at Survivor Series in like a minute and a half. But I think that I'd give this match probably 5 minutes
Yeah.
and have Oba go over. I'm That's my concern though, is if we don't have a week where Brock stands tall, I'm real concerned about the way WWE books.
I mean, yeah, it's they cut and
I
paste from the same formula a lot. So yeah,
yeah,
I
I
agree
do have
with
a
you
question
there.
though for you. So I was reading, obviously I try to read uh rumors and stuff and backstage reports online, but a bunch of people were talking, and what do you think of the potential of Paul Heyman turning on Brock
For Oba,
and aligning with Oba?
0. No, he's still in line with the vision. I think the only reason he's with Brock right now is because of the vision. He's going to go back to Braun Breaker once Braun Breaker comes back.
Think
Oba's
about
not
that
Oba's
though.
not going to be a heel. I don't think so.
Is Oba a face though?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah,
Okay. I honestly wasn't sure what I would classify Oba as, so that was what I was just curious about.
yeah. No, I don't think so. Not right now. I don't think Oba needs it right now. Oba's so over on his own. I don't think he needs it.
True. I think Oba as a Paul Heyman guy could be pretty fun though too.
Once Braun Breaker comes back, I think that will get us back to being Paul Heyman doing what Paul Heyman needs to do. I think
Okay.
it's just really unfortunate that Braun Breaker's not there right now.
Same with Bronson.
Yeah.
Like the two of them got hurt at like the worst possible time.
Hmm. And Bronson's going to be gone for a while. So,
Yeah.
um, Becky Lynch came out and addressed the crowd, said she wants to prove she is the best. She was interrupted by AJ Lee, which ultimately led to them, putting the stamp on this and making this match official for WrestleMania. There really wasn't much more to this segment. AJ Lee looked a little. eh, like some of the promo cutting rust is finally starting to get a little bit
Yeah.
better for AJ Lee. This was probably one of her better promos, like overall. But Becky still, proved why she's one of the best. And, I still think AJ is going to win at WrestleMania. And I think when she does, Becky needs to get herself back into the main title scene because she did make mention of that during the promo. And I think that that's where we need to put Becky back because I think it makes a lot more sense to have Becky in the main event scene.
Oh, 100%. You basically said exactly what I had to say. This was so far AJ Lee's best promo that she's cut. And I mean, not that there was a whole lot involved with this one, but it got to the point. It did what it needed to do to make the match official. And you're
Mhm.
right. I think that WWE has to have Becky lose. That way she can take part in bigger things. Because that's WWE's biggest problem with both their women's divisions right now, is they don't have enough legitimate big stars competing for the big titles. And they need to put, I get wanting to focus on your other titles, but you need to fix the top of that division before it falls any more in the hole.
Yeah. Yeah. So then interestingly, sticking with the women's division, we had the tag team match between the team of Bailey and Lyra versus the Kabuki Warriors, which saw Lyra hit the Nightwing on Kairi Sane to pick up the win, which seems very likely to get Bailey and Lyra added to that tag team turmoil thing that we're going to probably have at WrestleMania because they're going to get a shot at Nia and Lash next week. But again, the Bellas will interfere, Charlotte and Alexa will interfere, and it will be, I think we will finally set that four-team match kind of in stone. And then more interestingly, we saw Asuka and Kairi backstage, and then Io came around after Asuka yelled at Kairi again. So something tells me maybe the idea of Asuka and Io is not completely dead yet for WrestleMania.
I mean, we are, I believe, getting the Raquel Rodriguez and Io again next week, but I think that an Asuka Io match would be fantastic for Mania. I
Yeah,
think originally my thought was that for the Bailey and Lyra and the irresistible immovable objects or whatever the hell they're called tag match next week. I
irresistible
thought
objects.
I thought it was the immovable objects. But yeah, they're caught between a rock and a hard place. But I originally thought that Asuka and Kairi might interfere in that match and get added so that you'd have potentially five teams for a ladder match. But now that once they had that backstage segment, I don't know that they're going to do that. I
Yeah,
think that if you see Io and Asuka, I think that's where you see Kairi turn on Asuka finally.
yeah, yeah, I'm with you there. And I think that's what I want. Like I'm ready for Io and Asuka to have their match. I think they like
Yep,
we need to do that match. We've been putting it off for far too long, and I think, what better time than now with which to do that.
exactly.
Um, Okay. And then we have, what else did we have here? We had Javon Evans versus Grayson Waller. I mean, this match was just a good TV match, nothing crazy about this. I Show Speed was back again, but I mean, whatever. He'll probably be doing guest stuff at WrestleMania. Just keep him off of the WrestleMania card if possible. I'm starting to think that right now, my initial pick to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royale is Javon Evans.
Really.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he's going to be on the WrestleMania card. I think he's going to win the Andre the Giant. Um, and Yeah, I mean, because he's awesome. I mean, he does things like the he does things that like I don't think anybody else on the roster can do. And he's an absolute treat to watch. But again, I just don't think there's a plan for him. I mean, it's kind of too late at this point to get him involved in anything serious for WrestleMania. The New Day aren't going to make the card. They're not just going to randomly do a match with like him and Kofi or something like that at WrestleMania. That doesn't make sense. So
I think I think that they're setting something up for after Mania for them. I think
probably.
that's the program you're building towards, with everything that's been going on between Javon and Kofi. I don't know if it's going to lead to like a breakup of the New Day, like if Xavier's going to come back and be like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this, Kofi?" Or something along those lines. You're right, though. It was a fantastic TV match. I think that my pick for the Andre the Giant Battle Royale is going to be Javon Evans finishing second, with Royce Keys winning it all,
I forgot
because
about him.
they've had him because they've purposely have been having him just do untelevised matches to get used to how the WWE system works since he
Mm,
skipped NXT. And then in regards to your comment about I Show Speed, I was okay with 100% with that segment because he got cursed by Danhausen.
that's
And
true. He did.
I don't know if I believe I sent you the article talking about their race backstage, and apparently the fact that Danhausen can teleport short distances,
That's pretty
and
funny.
that's how he keeps disappearing. But absolutely love everything with Danhausen in it. I think that he is $1 million right now. Love it.
Yeah, no, he's a lot of fun. I agree. I completely agree with you there. And then the last match on the show was a rematch for the IC title between Penta and Dirty Dom. Again, we had a bunch of distractions and stuff like that in this match again as well. Ultimately, towards the end of the match, Finn Balor's distraction helped Penta secure the win. And then after the match, Balor attacked Dominik, and attacked JD and McDonough, really just completely laid out McDonough, and Dominik actually fled. And I think the only miss here, I mean, because the match was great, obviously, but the only miss here was I think Finn should have just pointed at the sign and did like one of these and then like, one of those. I think that would have been perfect because I think that's where we're going to go with this anyway. But I feel like that was a missed opportunity to not have Finn just point at the sign right there.
Yeah.
Other than that,
I
though, this whole thing was aces.
Obviously the match itself was fantastic. I greatly enjoyed Stephanie McCurk coming out and attacking Liv to start it. I
Hmm.
think that it showed a little bit more from Stephanie as far as that goes, and keeps building the tension between the two of them. And the fact that she put Dominic on his ass was pretty funny. But obviously, the match between Penta and Dom was going to be great. Both these guys are fantastic wrestlers in the ring. Dominik Mysterio, as much as we love to hate him, has really come into his own as a wrestler. And just thinking back to his original debut match and feud with Seth Rollins over his eye for an eye match with Ray and Seth, was I never would have thought Dom would be at the place he's at now. And I think that a Mania match between Mysterio as the King of the Luchadors and Demon Finn Balor would be absolutely incredible. Perfect time to bring back the demon persona for Balor and let him take out the Judgment Day members.
Yeah, yeah, I'm completely with you on that. I think that would be a lot of fun, and then it would make it a lot more. I mean, yeah, the demon character aside, it would make it a lot more believable. Like if he was just to overcome a stupid amount of odds, which is like what is to happen anyway here, right? So yeah, I think that's fine. But yeah, so that
Like,
was
isn't
Raw, and Raw was a really good show from top to bottom. I really liked everything about this show, and they're just, everything's kind of hitting full sales here as we kind of make our way to, a WrestleMania, which is 25 days away. So, with that, what is your final rating for the show?
so? Like I said at the beginning, I think my only complaint about this particular episode was the fact that there wasn't enough in-ring action. It was a bit on the talk heavy side, which obviously it's WrestleMania season. You need to do a lot more promo sections, but I think you could have fit a couple more matches in there of some of those storylines that we can continue. El Grande, we didn't see the El Grandes. I know that
That's okay. That's
no, but
okay.
I know that we still they are setting up some sort of mask versus mask, and I would like to see the actual progression of that story. Like, don't just be like, oh, mask versus mask randomly. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But overall, I got to go against the grain here, and I think this one is actually above average. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I like it. I enjoyed watching this show from top to bottom. There were very few parts of this show that were skippable to me, and I mean, the advertisements on Netflix aside, like I think Raw is genuinely just sort of a joy to watch, and I really enjoyed it. So I think for this time, my final rating is a F5 out of 5.
Love it. Love the shirt.
Love the shirt. That was a great shirt. So that is our show, guys. As always, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. We do appreciate all the feedback and support. I've been Mike, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill. Have yourselves a fantastic day and take care.